The crowds are bigger than ever, so that's one reason why we are going to continue. We think the message is powerful, and the votes haven't been counted.
Republican candidate Ron Paul isn't done yet, and he expects to do better in New York than polls project. His supporters come from across the state to meet the Republican presidential candidate in Ithaca today. Good evening, I'm Renata Steele.
I'm Scott Cook. Thanks for choosing Twin Tiers tonight. Cornell University invited the long shot candidate to speak on campus tonight. But before that, he had lunch with some of his supporters this afternoon.
Polls show Paul is outside striking distance of Republican frontrunner Mitt Romney. WENY TV's Joe Melillo asked Paul about his campaign before this afternoon's fundraiser. Now, Joe, what's keeping him in the race?
Renata, Ron Paul says his crowds are actually growing as the race goes on, so quitting, it's not an option.
It's just powerful, and the votes haven't been counted, so we don't know exactly where we'll come in, but we're going to come in a lot better than anybody else believed.
It ain't over till it's over. Ron Paul says he's not done yet. The 77-year-old libertarian-leaning Republican says support is coming from an unlikely source, young people.
It seems like they're very open-minded and very receptive to the message of individual liberty and individual responsibility. But you might say, well, why didn't they do this 10, 15, or 20 years ago? Well, the country wasn't so poor. And I think this is one thing the young people have learned. The country is poorer now, the Treasury is bare, and they're bearing the burden of the debt.
There was no shortage of young supporters at today's fundraiser. Some even brought their parents.
It's not a matter of age, it's a matter of principle.
I think the social libertarianism is a big aspect. Young people especially, just they want the government off their back with things that they do with their personal lives. And foreign policy is another big issue to a lot of young people. We want to see peace. We're tired of war.
Paul says his supporters are shifting.
Recently, it's been recognized that our crowds are starting to change a little bit. Before, it was always 18 to 24. Now they're saying the older people, they're bringing their parents and their grandparents out. So that really pleases us, too.
Now, according to a Siena College poll, Ron Paul is running third, 7 points behind Santorum, who dropped out, but ahead of Newt Gingrich. 51% of New York Republicans polled backed front runner Mitt Romney. Live in the studio, Joe Melillo, WENY TV News.